David, Abigail, and Nabal. Nabal? Nabal. Nabal? I'm Tara Hannon from Blooms and Benedictions, where we walk with Christ to find the roses among the thorns. And today we're going to examine the story of Abigail from the Old Testament, whose character prepared her to let go of her old way of life and step into something that was totally new. We'll learn 3 character qualities from Abigail's life that we desperately need today. And at the end of the video, I'll give you 8 life lessons that you can take into your world to go and thrive. So turn in your Bible to 1 Samuel chapter 25. And as we go through this study, here are 3 questions for you to consider. Ask yourself, who do I most resemble in this narrative? Is it King David? Is it Abigail? Or is it Nabal? Number 2, how do I deal with difficult people? And number 3, is my character prepared for what's coming next? So to set the stage for what's going to go down in this narrative, we have to back it up a bit and find out what's been going on with David. What's going on with his future kingship that's been proclaimed over his life. He's currently on the run from Saul. Saul is the king of Israel who just for some reason has it out for David. It's like he's jealous of him. He's very erratic in his behavior. He's always mad at him. He throws javelins at him. He's hunting him. So David and his men are on the run. They've been hiding in the cave of Adullam. And now his mentor and father figure, his beloved prophet Samuel, has just died. There's grief, there's sorrow, and this whole story is sandwiched between 2 occasions where David is going to display great restraint and grace for King Saul, who really doesn't deserve it. David is a godly man. The word says that he's a man after God's own heart. And so he is continually trying to do the right thing. David's grace and patience are just wearing thin. He's tired, he's stressed, he's sad, he's upset, he's hungry, he's banished, he's on the run. His wife has literally just been taken away from him. He was married to King Saul's daughter, and now he's just feeling betrayed. So this is where the story of David, Abigail, and Nabal pick up here in chapter 25 of 1 Samuel. And let's read verses 1 through 3. So verse 1 says, David rose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. There was a man whose business was in Carmel. The man was very rich. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. He was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. The woman was discerning and beautiful, but the man was harsh and badly behaved. He was a Calebite. So as the author uses the word Calebite, there's almost like a double entendre going on here. It could mean that he was just a descendant of Caleb, but it is also a similar word in the Hebrew to dog. So it could be insinuating that this man, Nabal, was just literally like a dog, just harsh and unpleasant. His name literally means he's a fool. So he's badly behaved, he's surly, he's mean, he's churlish, he's rude. But the word says that his wife Abigail was discerning and beautiful. So she is intelligent and wise, and we're going to see how that really saves the day. Her name actually means my father's joy. So literally, Abba Father takes joy in who she is and how she behaves. So what's going down here is that David and his men, they're living like vagabonds. They have been on the run from Saul, so they don't have consistent food or housing or clothing. It's just a really frustrating situation. But they have been helping with Nabal and his lands and his sheep herders. So the shepherds are out there, and now that it's time to shear the sheep, David's like, you know what, maybe you can spare me and my men some food because you're super rich. And when the word talks about them going to shear the sheep, that's an indicator that he's about to get paid. Because anytime you're shearing up your sheep, you're going to go sell some wool, and that means cha-ching, cha-ching, it's payday, and he's going to be flush with cash, which he already is because he's super rich. But he'll have plenty to spare. And so David sends some young men in verse 5 and says, go up to Carmel, ask Nabal, greet him in my name, Say, peace be to you, peace be to your house, and peace be to all that you have. I hear that you have shearers. Now your shepherds have been with us, and we did them no harm. They missed nothing all the time they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come on a feast day. So it was customary on a feast day that you were always generous. You were always inclusive. You shared with whoever was in need, whoever was poor, let alone the future king. So he's kind of reminding him of all of these customary things. And he says, please give whatever you have at hand to your servants and to your son, David. So not literally like your firstborn son, but like your kinsman, someone that like you respect. And he just says, like, you don't have to go to extra trouble. You don't have to give me something lavish, but just give me whatever you have at hand. Now check out Nabal's response. Classy guy coming up right here. Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? Literally defining that he does actually know who David is. Everybody knows who he is. He is prophesied as the future king. He's been anointed already. They know this. He says, who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants these days who are breaking away from their masters. So just insinuating like, I know you, I see you, and I side with Saul. So you have broken away from Saul. You've not let him just like killed you on the spot with spears and javelins. So I'm not with you. I'm with Saul. I'm on the other side. He says, shall I take my bread and water and my meat that I've killed from my shears and give it to men who come from I do not know where? He's so ridiculous. He does know where. So David's young men turned away, came back, and told him all this. So this is a big time insult, a big time slight. Not only does he refuse him bread and water and sharing for all that David has done to protect his shepherds and his herds, he's also just kind of acting like, I don't know you, I haven't heard of you, you're a nobody. Well, how do you think King David is feeling? Future King David. He's livid, he's hot. He's like, strap them up, get your swords. We're taking 400 men and we're going down there. And he vows that not one man of Nabal's house will live. Eek! Enter Abigail, enter peacemaker, enter reasonable, humble, wise. So what happens next is that the servants come to Abigail. They know that she is the level-headed one. She is reasonable. She is the good mistress of the home. She is like Beauty and the Beast up in this situation, right? She's got the brains, she's got the beauty, and she's married to this fool who is rash and is about to get them all killed. Verse 18, it says, Abigail made haste. She took 200 loaves, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already prepared. Hello, we're rich. We've always got food just laying around. 5 seahs of parched grain and 100 clusters of raisins. 200 cakes of figs, laid them on donkeys. She said to her young men, go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she did not tell her husband Nabal. She is going to come and intervene. So remember, evaluate yourself. Who are you in this narrative? Are you like Nabal? Are you selfish? Are you stingy with what you have? Or could you be more generous? Could you share? Could you give more often? Could you sacrifice for someone else? Do you act prideful or haughty? Or are you like David, who's kind of just impetuous and hot-headed and letting his pride and emotions get the best of him? Or are you like beautiful Abigail, who comes with a sweet and humble spirit to diffuse the situation? So as we continue reading about Abigail, I want you to notice 3 main things about her amazing character. Number 1, she's humble. She always responds with humility, even when she doesn't have to. Number 2, she's studied. She knows the words that have been proclaimed over David's life, and she is going to say them back to him to remind him of who he is. She's literally like prophesying and affirming who he is and who he is going to be, and helps him to do the right thing. And finally, number 3, she is prompt to obey. Sometimes the Lord asks us to do a thing, but we delay in our obedience. Delayed obedience is disobedience. If we are prompt to respond to what he asks us to do, your obedience can alleviate suffering. Abigail's prompt obedience will alleviate not only the suffering, but the murder of her entire household. So verse 23, when Abigail saw David, she what? She dawdled, she went slowly, she thought about if she should obey. No, it says she hurried, got down from the donkey, fell before David on her face, bowed to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "On me alone, my Lord, be the guilt." What? This isn't her fault at all. But humility builds the bridge. It builds forgiveness. It gives him an opportunity to diffuse the situation, not because she was in the wrong, she was in the right. But if you want to build a bridge with someone, apologize, and apologize first. That's what she does. She takes a posture of humility. She says, "Please let your servant speak in your ears. Hear the words of your servant. Let not my Lord regard this worthless fellow Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Fool. Now then, let your enemies and those who seek to do evil to my Lord be as Nabal. Let this present that your servant has brought to my Lord be given to the young men. Please forgive the trespass of your servant. The Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord is fighting the battles of the Lord Yahweh." So she's reminding him of his purpose. She's reminding him of his calling. Don't do something that you regret. Don't get guilt on your head. Just let your anger diffuse and calm down. Just eat some food. You're probably just hangry, right, King David? We all get like that. He's tired and grumpy. So she's like, take this present, be at peace. You are going to be the future prince of Israel. And when you are, all the good things that he has spoken concerning you will come to pass, and you will have no cause of grief or pangs of conscience for having shed blood without cause. So Abigail takes all the wind out of David's angry sails, and he says in verse 32, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to me. Blessed be your discretion. Blessed be you who have kept me from blood guilt and from working salvation with my own hand." Just going vigilante justice up in here. And he's like, "Surely as the God of Israel lives, who has restrained me from hurting you, unless you had hurried to come to meet me, truly by morning there would have been no one left to Nabal." Even future King David is acknowledging, unless you had hurried, unless you had made haste, had that prompt obedience to do the right thing, you would not have been here in time. And so we just see over and over that Abigail's character is what is saving the day. She is humble all this time as she has lived with a difficult husband. It's not like he just showed up and was difficult today. She is humble as she accepts the blame for Nabal. She is humble even in her physical posturing as she bows down low. She's humble enough to apologize for things she didn't do. That's a hard one, isn't it? We never like to say sorry for stuff we didn't do. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, it's hard. What's about to transpire is that Nabal is going to throw a giant feast for himself, and the Lord is going to vanquish David's enemy. His wife tells him all of these things, how she shared all of their food, and his heart died within him, and he became as stone. So I don't know if it was heart attack, too much fancy food, but whatever it was, the Lord had initiated it to bring resolution to this whole story. And now Abigail is free to have a totally new life. She's going to leave these old things behind, her way of life, the suffering that she's had as the spouse of Nabal, and she's going to leave and do this brave thing and join up with David. He sends word, he asks her to marry him through a secret note, through a messenger, and she accepts. And once again, it says in verse 42, and Abigail hurried. Always prompt obedience, just hustling this girl. And she becomes David's wife and follows the messengers. And becoming David's wife at this time basically means like, you're going to have to leave everything you know, your wealthy, lavish lifestyle, your hearth and home, and you're going to have to go on the road with me and believe in the promise and have hope in the promise. But already she has declared, I believe in you. You are the future king. I want to align my life with you. So we've already learned a ton from Abigail's life and character, but let's specifically go over these 8 life lessons that you can write down and take into your world because they're super helpful. Number 1, you don't have to let a harsh, badly behaved person turn you into a harsh, badly behaved person. No one can make you react in an ungodly way. Number 2, if you want to diffuse someone's anger, you must take a posture of humility. Number 3, learn to apologize even when you've done nothing wrong. It builds a bridge for the relationship to be restored. Number 4, are people afraid to confront me? Am I open to correction from God and those who are close to me? Number 5, God will use difficult people to shape our character, reveal our weaknesses, and prepare us for what's next. But they don't always need to be avoided. They're probably right where God wants them to be. They're in your office or in your home. Number 6, do your actions towards the unworthy inspire others to also act with grace, patience, or forgiveness? Number 7, humility is beautiful and attractive, but it will ask you to lay down your rights and make sacrifices for those who've hurt you. Finally, number 8, God is with you in your heartache, and he will sustain you as you wait for deliverance. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a ton to keep Christian content growing out there in the YouTube-verse. And don't forget to head over to my website, bloomsandbenedictions.com, for more discipleship content, and follow me on Instagram. Remember, you were born to bloom. All you need is living water. I'll see you guys next time. God bless.